I'm Marilyn Petito Devaney, and I am the nominee's district counselor, and I will be presiding. How it works is that the counselor who has the nominee in her or his district is a district counselor for the hearing, and so that's why I am. And while I have this few minutes, I'd like to make an announcement. I am so pleased that you have your family here. For some reason, our last two hearings, families were prohibited. And I said, this is not a private interview for someone going to Macy's. This is a judicial appointment, a lifetime position. And it's an important day of your life. Probably the most important since you got married and had your children. You want them to share it. At our last hearing, the nominee was not allowed to bring her 3 children, all grown, oldest one's 18, and her husband sat outside in the lobby where the pictures, all the portraits of the governors are. That is unacceptable to me. He should have been here, he should have shared it. We had a hearing last week and only the mother was allowed, and they were all asked to leave. Brother and also a judge, Judge Hanlon, and Clerk Magistrate Owens, and they testified and they went out. I just want you to know, when I am chairing a hearing, it's going to be for the family to share in this special day. And I just thank you for coming, because it was a very hard time. I'm sure you ran into trees and everything else today, but I thank you. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to read the, first of all, they had a hearing at 10:30. I'm here 21 years. No prior council has done that. I had you scheduled for 1, and then Council Juvenile put 1 at 10:30. It went so fast your head would spin. And I was not going to have you wait outside and delay it. So that's why I'm going to start in time, to be respectful to you. The judge that came that spoke, she had prepared statement and she was not allowed to give it. She had to be brief. Went through it so fast your head would spin. I don't talk like this off the cuff, but this is so unacceptable. We shouldn't have 2 in one day. Everyone should be sitting here, and they should sit here from the beginning to the end of the hearing, okay? But you know what? I'm not my brother's keeper, so I'm only responsible for me. So I'm going to read the letter from the governor. Dear councilors, I am pleased to nominate Catherine H. Hom to the position of Associate Justice of the Superior Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. So I welcome you. Now, I want you to introduce everyone in this room, family and supporters who came for you today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is my husband, Paul Hom, married for 18 years. My daughter, Gemma, who's 8. My son, Felix, who's 13. And Axel, who's 10. My witnesses, First Justice of Roxbury Division of BMC, David Weingarten, an attorney and a good friend, Robert Sheketoff, and an Associate Justice of Superior Court, Sharon Donatelli, and Chief Brieger from Superior Court, who's been able to
welcome you all. And no one is allowed in the State House. It's closed to the public. And only you people came in because we give the name to the, at the door, and the rangers know you're here. So it's safe. I mean, it couldn't be a more cleaner place. Believe me, I'm here every day. So if you feel more comfortable to take your mask off in this council chamber, you can, okay? So having said that, I'm going to call on your witnesses in the order that you have given them to me. Okay, if I can find them. Okay. Okay, so your guest list, you have introduced them all, which I'm very pleased. And the first witness will be Judge Sharon Donatell, Associate Justice of the Superior Court. So you can sit right beside the nominee. Welcome.
Thank you very much. So I have some prepared remarks as well. First of all, I want to thank you very much.
You can take off your mask.
Thank you. I think I will do that. Thank you, Councilor Devaney. I want to thank the Governor's Council for this opportunity. It's a privilege to be here to support the nomination of Judge Catherine Hom to the Superior Court. I commend the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, and the JNC for this nomination. It was a little over 4 years ago where I sat where Judge Hom sits today. And for over the last 4 years, I've had the honor to serve in the Superior Court. In view of my experience and what I know about Judge Hom on a personal level, I'm here to extend my enthusiastic support for her nomination to the Superior Court. I've known Judge Hom as a colleague and a friend for over 16 years, and I know that she possesses the experience in the law, the intellectual heft, the work ethic, the patience, and the compassion to be an outstanding Superior Court judge. I first met Judge Hom in 2005 when I had the opportunity to interview her for a job in the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office. I was immediately struck by Judge Hom's energy, her focus, and a level of maturity that belied her years. She proved to be a great hire. She quickly impressed with her desire to learn, her willingness to take on new and diverse challenges, and her tireless commitment to helping people. I had the opportunity to work with Judge Hom for over 10 years. I supervised her. I tried cases with her. She became a thoughtful and supportive colleague and a dear friend. I saw her manage a heavy caseload of some of the most difficult felony cases imaginable in Superior Court, all the while distinguishing herself as a talented, thoughtful, and fair trial attorney, respected by her colleagues in the District Attorney's Office, by the defense bar, and by the judges that she appeared in front of. I know Judge Hom has the patience and the temperament to be a valued addition to the Superior Court. There, the cases are serious and intense, emotions can be high, and it's important for a judge to be patient and impartial in her decision-making. The parties look to the court to be fair, to remedy a wrong, and most importantly, for a meaningful opportunity to be heard. Given the adversarial nature of our system, it's fair to say that in many instances, one party or the other is not happy with the judge's decision. It requires strength of conviction and resilience. I've observed Judge Hom over the years, interacting with colleagues, with attorneys, with court staff, with victims and witnesses, and she is always respectful of others. She listens well. She's fair-minded. She's fair and open-minded. She is decisive and resilient. Judge Hom has the experience and the energy and the work ethic to tackle the diverse cases of the Superior Court. Whether considering a request for a preliminary injunction in a civil case or pretrial detention in a criminal case, the cases are diverse and they are complex. No day is routine. But to be sure, Judge Hom is prepared for this next challenge. After trying hundreds of jury trials herself, Judge Hom was appointed to the Boston Municipal Court. It's hard to imagine a better preparation for the Superior Court than the fast-paced and pressure-packed experience of the BMC. There, Judge Hom had the front row seat to the human condition, human frailties, and their consequences. She's handled both criminal and civil cases. She's balanced the interests of society, of victims, of plaintiffs and defendants, and made the difficult decisions that judges have to make. I know from my conversations with her that she recognizes the power and the importance of her decisions. She was a practicing attorney, and as a judge, for her, there is no such thing as just a case. She recognizes that every case is important to someone, and that her decisions have human consequences. For those reasons, she is tireless in her devotion to equal justice and fairness to everyone. With that experience, she is equipped for the challenges of the Superior Court, where the work is hard and at times stressful. Beyond that, Judge Hom is a woman who will not be outworked. Demands of the Superior Court require research, writing, assimilation of the ever-developing case law, and I know that Judge Hom has the intellect, the motivation, and the personal strength to do the job well. I'm reminded of the remarks of now retired Judge Regina Quinlan in her reflections to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Superior Court, when she said, "The role of a Superior Court judge is to be just and to do justice." I have no doubt that Judge Hom will meet that challenge every day. Respectfully ask that you confirm her nomination to the Superior Court.
That was from your heart. Thank you. Tell me, how long have you been on the court?
4 years now.
How long?
4.
Well,
Time flies.
it's a proud vote for me. So I thank you. I do want to just interrupt. I want to introduce Patrick Mccabe. Patrick has been coming for years, and he does public access for people to hear the audio. So that's why he's present. So how long have you known the judge?
16 years or more at the moment.
What do you think is the greatest quality that she brings to the Superior Court?
I think that without a doubt, her work ethic, her ability to see all sides of an issue, and without a doubt, her undying commitment to do the right thing. And I think that that's something that Kat was probably raised with by her family. The patience, the thoughtfulness for others. And I saw it in her work in the district attorney's office. And I know that it's a part of her that she brings to every task that she has.
Your testimony means a lot to me. I've been here 21 years. And we've had people sitting in your chair, and I've said, "How long have you known this the nominee?" "Oh, I saw her once in court." You really know her. You know her personally, and your friendship shows too. So I thank you for coming, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. And before I call my next witness, I owe you an apology, Judge, because when you came before me before, and I had the honor of presiding you, only 2 counselors attended. Only 2 counselors attended. Shame on them. And I want you to know, I'm hoping that they will come today and I'll be present, because I couldn't be happier to see you go to the Superior Court. We need people like you that have had all this experience and bringing it from the district up to the Superior, you know? So, and I just want to say, you only have 2 witnesses. So after, we've got 3 witnesses, right? Okay, after the third was attorney Shekentoff. Did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry. I will open it up if anyone wants to, that's not on that list, to testify. Chief Justice Heidi Berger, anyone who wants to, you're welcome, okay? It's an open forum. So the next witness is Judge David Weingarten from the First Justice of Roxbury Division of Boston Municipal Court. Thank you so much for coming. Bless you.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you again. Nice to see everyone again. Members of the Governor Council, thank you for allowing me to speak for Judge Hom. As you heard, I'm the first justice at the Roxbury Division. It's always an honor to have a chance to speak to members of the council, but I'm especially honored to be able to be here today speaking about Judge Hom. As you know, as Judge Donatel just mentioned, the BMC is something of a court where the rubber meets the road in terms of the people who use the court and the legal and social issues that are presented to us. And so I've had an excellent opportunity to develop my friendship with Judge Hom over the period of time that she's been here, but actually it goes back further than that. There are actually 3 ways that I know Judge Hom. First of all, know her from, and that's not including my reputation before I actually met her. I first met her in person when she appeared in front of me at the Roxbury Division as an experienced homicide prosecutor. And she came to Roxbury to litigate 2 drug cases of a defendant who had also been charged with murder because there was some small connection between those drug cases and the murder cases that she was trying, and that she wanted to be certain that the drug cases were litigated correctly so that no collateral issues got in the way of the homicide prosecution that she was pursuing in Superior Court. So that was the first chance I observed before I even got to really meet her, with the level of care that she approached her cases. And in those cases, it was clear, I had a number of hearings with her, evidentiary hearings, that when she walked into the courtroom and began to speak to people, that you saw a person very much in charge of herself, of the proceedings, and of the whole milieu of the courtroom. A person very, very comfortable in the courtroom. And of course, it won't surprise you that her trial work was first rate. Okay, so then Judge Hom became a judge, and I had the opportunity to work with her for several years, and I've had contact with her on a daily or weekly basis during that time. We spent a lot of time. And when she told me that she was applying to the Superior Court, I admit that the first thing that I said was that I would do everything to subvert her nomination, because I actually didn't want her to leave. That's how good of a friend and colleague he's been. When I told my colleagues, Judge David Poole and Judge Kenneth Fiandaca, that I was coming here today to speak on her behalf, they were competing with me to see who could say the nicest things about her. But I want to just tell you that the things that really stuck in my mind were that they referred to her as the whole package as a judge. Incredibly hardworking and thoughtful, always wants to get it right, a total team player in terms of shouldering the work, unafraid to make hard decisions. That will tell you something about how her colleagues feel about her. Judge Hom is a worker, taking on whatever tough assignments there were and have been at Roxbury, and doing so with intellectual vigor and directness. Before and during COVID, Judge Hom would make it a point, whenever she would be sitting in Roxbury, to insist that we all have lunch together so that she could take the entire hour to pummel us with questions and observations about what she had seen, about what was going on in her courtroom, to think about how things might be done differently. She has a deep and abiding sense of fairness, which informs all of her intellectual work. She never loses sight that the goal is to do justice, and yet she still keeps up with the work. So Judge Hom spent, as you know, most of her career in Superior Court, handling the most serious kinds of cases, and arguably, it wasn't my decision, but from where I sit, arguably was ready to go to Superior Court several years ago when she came to the BMC. We like to think of it as a lateral move, not a promotion, but she's been working in a court where, on a daily basis, she's had to make decisions and turn out opinions. As I said, it's a court where the rubber meets the road. There are hundreds of decisions that have to be made every day. I believe that she will be very comfortable with the workload in Superior Court. From my point of view, the handling of jury trials, suppression hearings, dangerousness hearings, major felony arraignments and pretrial matters, and other kinds of issues, the hundreds of restraining orders that we deal with in the municipal court, for the last 2+ years, will more than qualify her to move to a slower paced, but often more complex cases of the Superior Court, both on the civil side and on the criminal side. And that's even without factoring in the tremendous Superior Court experience that she's had as an attorney. But I also want to talk to you a little bit about what it's been like to be Judge Ham's judicial mentor. I've been a judicial mentor for about 10 years, and without question, Judge Ham is the best mentee I've ever had. And by that, I mean that she used me and the mentoring program more thoroughly and completely than anyone else I've mentored. She pounded me with questions and insistence on conversations about and reflections about how things were going and about how things might be made different and about how she might continue to grow and handle things differently and in the court and how to make them better. Something that sometimes goes unsaid is, apart from the fact that a person can be a brilliant jurist, is how well do they get along with the staff? And I can tell you that the staff at Roxbury are particularly, or maybe normally, prickly when new people come in after they've been there for years and sometimes for decades. And I can tell you that when Judge Ham came, that she has been uniformly adored by first our judicial secretary, by clerks, probation officers, other court officers, and other officials. That's not a surprise. Everyone in the building sees her not only as a hard worker who cares about the court and the community that she serves, but also deeply friendly, deeply respectful of everyone in the building, and fun to be around. Finally, I want to say the thing out loud that I've really kind of only alluded to, and that is that Judge Ham is one of the finest people I've ever met. I'm proud not only to call her a colleague, but to call her a friend. When my colleagues refer to her as the whole package of being a judge, they mean not only that she's smart and hardworking and respectful, and I also mean that she embodies the traits that make an excellent judge. She has compassion. She has an understanding of human nature. She has empathy for the people who appear before her, whether they're defendants or the victims of crime. She has the intellectual courage to do what her mind and her thinking and the law tell her must be done. Personally, it will be something of a loss for me when Judge Ham moves to the Superior Court if she's fortunate enough to receive your approval. She's been a fabulous colleague on a day-to-day basis. It's a fact the Superior Court's gain will be the Boston Municipal Court's loss. And she is, in addition to being a colleague and a mentee, my friend. And I'm happy that she has this opportunity to appear before you and seek your approval. She will continue to serve the Commonwealth with tremendous dignity and intelligence.
Thank you so much, Judge. Any council questions? Councilor Juneville.
I'm sorry we're a little late, but we thought it was starting at 1:15. That's why we were late.
Always good to see you.
It's always a pleasure to see you, and it's always a pleasure to be in your court. Your opinion means an awful lot to me. Thank you so much for coming.
Councilor Kennedy.
Obviously, it means a lot that you're here and speaking on her behalf to me. You've done a tremendous job in the court the last couple of decades. I don't get there very often, as you know, because I send Scott Getterman in there most of the time when I have stuff there. But you do a tremendous job and work, basically. It works mean a lot.
Councilor Ainella.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just want to echo the sentiments of Councilor Juneville Kennedy. In any court, but from what I so much.
Thank you very much.
Bill,
Do you have any questions, Councilor?
questions, just good to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Been a while.
Judge, it was a pleasure to see you and Judge Donatel to come and speak. And, you know, for both of you, it was from your heart. I mean, it's one thing you could talk about her professionally, but it was personal too. And it touched my heart. Tell me, how long have you been on the bench?
13 years.
Voted for you. I'm so glad that I have wonderful judges here that I voted for, and I'm proud that I voted for. Really, thank you so much. The next witness is Attorney Robert Scheckenkopf. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. You correct me. They mispronounce my simple name. It's Devaney, and no one says Devaney. So tell me how you say your name.
Mccabe.
Okay, welcome.
Um, So I've been practicing for 46 years.
Bless you.
And, There are always a few people that stand out. I know Judge Hom because she was attorney's office. And I really got to know her when she moved to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. So I know her as an opponent. And rather than just repeat what the other witnesses have said, I think I'd sum it up this way. She is a total class act. She's someone that I'm very proud to appear in support of her nomination to the Superior Court. She's fair, she's open-minded, she's honest, she's very smart, and very experienced. She's a class act.
That's great. We appreciate it. 46 years, you've seen a lot of judges along the way, so it's really a tribute for you to come and speak for her today, and we appreciate your time. Any questions from Councilor?
Question, but thank you.
Bill?
And I appreciate it. It's good to see a defense lawyer in here speaking about a judge. Yeah.
She deserves it.
Thank you very much. Now, is there anyone here that's not on the list that'd like to speak? Judge, would you like to say a few?
Well, I can't say no to an invitation from you, but I will say that my knowledge and friendship with Judge Hom is less than her witnesses. I have known her because she appeared before me in cases when I was sitting in Suffolk County and was very impressive. I served with her in the Inn of Court in Boston, and she seemed, I know you all here missed her on those evenings when she was away for dinner and participation in the Inn of Court, but we appreciated that you gave her up for the evening. So if you see fit to confirm her, she will be an outstanding addition to the Superior Court.
And thank you for your service, and you'll be serving together in the Superior Court. That's great. I'd like, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think there's some members of the council, maybe other people who don't know who that is, if you could introduce them. The last speaker, some people don't know who that is.
They were all introduced before you came.
Okay.
And Judge Brieger, the chief judge of the
So I
Superior.
know that, but yeah.
They were all introduced. I had scheduled this hearing for 1 o'clock weeks ago, and I waited till 1:07, and I didn't want to be disrespectful to Judge Ham, and I started at 1:07. So
You told us.
having said that, I'd like to call on Counselor Hurley.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We spoke at some length, Justice Ham, and I went over your very impressive record. Given all of the time that you spent in Superior Court prior to becoming a district court judge, I think you're going to do just a great job. And you've done more civil since you've been in the district court. After talking to you, I agree with your witnesses that you are not afraid to take on anything. You're one of the few people that likes the complex rather than the simple. So given that Superior Court, I say that district court is usually a long, short story, but the Superior Court can be a novel. I think you need to do a great job reading through the weeds, so to speak, to get justice done. I have bronchitis. I came in today, but I ran out of steam. So I'm going to be leaving. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Counselor.
And I wish you the best of luck.
Dad, I would like to introduce the counselors, and Counselor Hurley, Counselor DePaula, Counselor Kennedy, Counselor Duff, Counselor Ianella, Counselor Pereira, and Counselor Juvenile. And I'd like to call on you, Counselor DePaula, if you have any questions for the nominee.
Sure.
I haven't made my statement,
She has to make her statement.
Oh,
It's okay.
oh my, and you know what I forgot? I forgot to swear you in, but I know you're all honest. I'm not going to worry about it. I am, oh my gosh. Today's been a crazy day. I came in and there was a tree, excuse me. There was a tree across the highway, so I started off crazy. And then we had a rush hearing before this, so it's been kind of a crazy day. I am so sorry. Please give us your presentation. But I want to call on Mary because Mary has to leave, so that's why I took her out of sequence. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Council Hurley. I'm gonna stand because I'm used to.
Unbelievable. She did this when she came in before. I don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. First, I'd like to thank Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, for the nomination. I'd also like to thank the JNC members, the Joint Bar, Bob Ross and Lauren Green-Petrino and her staff. I thank them sincerely. To Councilor Devaney for hosting me, as well as all of you, Governor Councilors, thank you for taking the time to speak with me beforehand, as well as this precious time that you are taking to speak with me. My name is Catherine Kyo-Young-Ham. My first courtroom experience was not as a lawyer, sorry. My first courtroom experience was as an awkward seventh grader translating for my parents in small claims court. Whenever my parents owned a dry cleaner store, and whenever there was a dispute about a damage in clothing, they would summons me to come to court with them. And never could I have ever imagined that I would become an attorney whom my parents could never afford. And never could I have imagined that I would be a judge one day. My family and I came to America from South Korea when I was 10 years old. Sorry, I'm gonna get it together. When I was 10 years old, I spoke no English, not even the alphabet. And the language barrier and the cultural shock molded me into someone I was not. Someone who was shy, actually mute. I was mute, so guarded and so afraid. I was so afraid to stand out. I was so afraid to sound and to be different. There was an insurmountable amount of work to catch up to, and the competitive side in me was burning up inside as a 10-year-old to catch up. My parents worked tirelessly for 32 years in a hot, sweltering dry cleaner store, giving their blood, sweat, and tears, providing for my brother, my sister, and I to put us through school. My parents, who are actually not able to be here because they're in Korea taking care of my grandfather, who is 104 years old, so it really confused. My parents clean clothes, dirty clothes filled with body odor. They blasted chemicals into their lungs, cleaning up the stains. They dry cleaned and ironed suits after suits, hoping that one day I would wear a suit and become a professional. They worked hard every day telling us, we work hard so that you can become better than us. I do know that I wear suits every day and I do have a professional job, but I know this for certain that I could never become better than my parents. I saw daily how my parents saw discrimination, racism, condescension, and being treated as if we didn't even exist. The feisty girl in me demanded of my parents every single day, why don't you ever fight back? Don't you have any pride? Don't you feel wronged? My parents cautiously and fearfully always told me, never fight back. Don't say anything, blend in the background, don't stand out, because we're not from here and nobody's gonna take your side. Nobody's going to take your side. Ironically, and probably in the most perfect sense of the world, I became a lawyer who commanded the attention of the whole courtroom rather than being in the background, and where it was legitimately my job to convince everyone to take my side. Child advocacy was where I found my true passion and skills and talents, and it was where I found my true voice, advocating for victims who had no voice. I worked tirelessly, battling it out in the courtrooms, and during my almost 15 years as a prosecutor, I investigated and tried hundreds of cases, first few years in the district court, and rest of my legal career in Superior Court, trying all types of cases, but mostly serious, complex cases like sexual assaults against children and homicides. My legal career was not without my own discrimination, racism, being overlooked and underestimated. But I know that my difficult and fulfilling legal career led me to the greatest responsibility as an associate justice in the Boston Municipal Court, thanks to all of you who entrusted that faith in me. I had a lot of reservations before applying to Superior Court. A lot of should-haves, could-haves, and would-haves. Should have waited a few more years. Could have looked like I didn't care about my job at the BMC. Or could have looked ungrateful. These are all fears that swam around me, but I know that it is not a reality. I applied because, having spent most of my legal career trying the most complex, serious legal cases in Superior Court, I know that my experience, coupled with my unique life experience and background, will best serve Superior Court. At BMC, I worked hard doing anything and everything that was asked of me. During my over 2 years, even despite the pandemic, it was a busy court to work in, and I'm so thankful. I tried and adjudicated over civil and criminal jury trials, civil and criminal bench trials, hundreds of restraining orders and harassment prevention orders, motions, mental health hearings, with over 60 written decisions during my short time at BMC. I'd like to take this time to thank Chief Ronquillo for his leadership in the BMC, and to all of my colleagues, you know who you are. My colleagues who have shown me invaluable lessons on the bench and off the bench. Your commitment to your community day in and day out is an inspiration, and I am in awe of all of my colleagues. My time at BMC has been fulfilling and challenging, but I know that I was always longing for complex and litigation that I used to litigate, and that's why I applied. And I believe that my time at BMC, along with my legal career and experience, will fully equip me for the next challenge. Of course, my professional and personal successes would not be possible without the undying love and support of my husband, Paul Hom. Without him, I am nothing. To my 3 bright-eyed children, Felix, 13, Axel, 10, and Gemma, who's 8. To my beautiful bright-eyed children, some days are amazing, where you get to see mommy being challenged and questioned for an amazing responsibility of a job in the Commonwealth. Some days, your mommy as a judge gets racist and cowardly comments, like go back to massaging people's backs. So some days are high, really high, and some days are low, really low. And most of the days in between are mediocre and blah. But every day you have to show up, and you do the best you can be. I work hard so that you can become better than me. To my governor counselors, it is beyond me how I ended up here. You're showing my children and to all the immigrants who didn't think they could amount to much, that hard work, talent, skills, and smarts, and being kind and fair to everyone actually do pay off. My little mute Korean girl self would have never believed you if you told her what her future would hold. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm utterly humbled. And I welcome all your questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is that amazing? We don't have someone standing, and you did it before when you came before us. Just beautiful. Councilor Paul DiPaolo. Paul is the only councilor that wasn't here to vote for you the last time. Paul.
So I have a clean slate. I can't imagine any accomplishment I'd be prouder of than making my children proud. So congratulations on your nomination and for being here today. We had an occasion to talk and we discussed some of the issues that concern me in the Superior Court. We talked about racial disparities in sentencing, which predominantly happened in Superior Court. We talked about how you'd exercise your judicial discretion. And I found you to be extremely thoughtful, and everyone I spoke with had nothing but accolades for you. Diversity of perspective matters to me, and to be honest, I think we have too many prosecutors in the Superior Court in terms of proportionality. But when I look at an individual's career, the Family Protection Unit in Plymouth, the Child Protection Unit in Suffolk, I'm very comfortable with bringing your perspective into the Superior Court. And I want to applaud the administration too, because you're eminently qualified. And I think it's important for the Commonwealth that we have the first Asian American woman in the Superior Court. We may have another historic first for an Asian American in Boston soon. I feel very good about your nomination, and I look forward to supporting you at our assembly vote.
Thank you. Councilor Kennedy?
Any openings on the SJC? I thought you should have applied for Superior Court the first time around, and I think I told you that's where you belonged. You have developed, surprisingly, I have not been in front of you since you got on there, but, you know, you'll be surprised to hear that lawyers talk, and they talk about judges, and you have an incredible reputation. Everybody on either side wants to be in front of you because they know they're going to get a fair shake. They know you're going to listen. And you were more than qualified before you got on the BMC to be on the Superior Court. And I think that experience just added to that.
Councilor DiPaolo, you wanted to correct something?
Yes, I wanted to correct myself, of
Okay.
course. If affirmed, you'd be the second Asian American woman on Superior Court. Still a marvelous thing for the Commonwealth. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Councilor Duff?
Thank you, Judge. It was really, first of all, thank you for applying. And it was really terrific to talk to you. I could talk to you for hours and hours. Have you ever been to Haverford College where your mom did her undergraduate? Did you get to see the cricket club? You don't even know about it. Tell them about it. It's great. Haverford is an absolutely fantastic school. And I'm probably one of the few people here that knows anything about it, but it's a really great school. And your whole story is wonderful. What I would like to say are two things. One, in reading your writing and your decisions, I was very impressed by your thought process, and it was very educational for me because you came to different conclusions than I may have come to, but you were able to sway me to your point of view through your writing, which I think is very important. And I may have shared with you when we spoke, one of the most important things to me is if somebody can change my mind, because it means that we're really having a conversation and a dialogue, and it means that we're intellectually open to listening and hearing. So thank you for that, because even though I think I'm open-minded, I am a bit stubborn. So you did that alone just through your writings. And I concur with everything my colleagues have said, that you do belong in Superior Court. You'd be great in any court, but it's great to have you applying for Superior Court. I know the chairman isn't keen on people in their 40s going to the bench. I know that you went to the bench in your early 40s and you're still in your early 40s, but I think it's terrific. I think your youth, I think your enthusiasm, I think your intellect, and I think your life story is something that we all need to share and learn from. So I have no other questions, frankly, because we had a good in-depth conversation, but I do hope to see you again, talking about the courts and how we can, and I can as a counselor, help bring some of the courts to the people in a more proactive way. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Iannello?
Thank you very much. First of all, it's great to see your family, and for you, Paul, and the kids. If you have a cell phone, if you want to take a picture or anything like that of your wife and father, that's perfectly fine. You want to video. as well, because people do that. Wow, where do I start? You know, first of all, when you spoke, you know, you came to America when you were 10 years old, you couldn't speak a word of English. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of my father. My father came to America from Italy at 10 years old. Couldn't speak a word of English. He came with his mother and his sister. He worked hard, gotta work hard, that's when you get success. He went to Boston College, and then he went to Harvard Law School, and then he was in public service for 40 years. So, yeah, it's what a really compelling story. You know, I heard these two folks next to me say Superior Court. Whoa, I'm glad you don't live in my district. That was a real compelling story. Really compelling. Whoa, I mean, you must be so proud of him. I've heard a lot of people in that seat who talk and give their presentations why they want to be a judge. None have it better than that. Outstanding, outstanding. So many people who sit there, they have a notebook, they go like this, which is perfectly fine. Oh, that just way was just unbelievable, unbelievable. I don't have any questions at all. You know, you mentioned your parents are in Korea. Is there a 16-hour time difference?
13.
13.
We're watching right now, I think.
Are they able to watch?
At 2 a.m., yes.
Well, to your parents, what a day. Let me tell you, that presentation, I've been here a long time. No presentation was better than that. And you know what? She owes it to you folks. I mean, you don't just get that. You brought her up the right way, and whoa, that's a great example for the family. I am so proud of you. I know we voted for you before, but I wish you the very, very best. It's going to be my honor and my privilege to vote for you next week.
Thank you. Councilor Ferraro.
Thank you. Well, Judge, we had a nice conversation over the last couple of days. I appreciate it very much. You know, you've got accolades from everyone that I know, including Jay Lynch, who I worked with for 28 years now. He thinks you're a superb rock star, and I do as well. I think you're gonna do terrific on the Superior Court. Forward to voting for you next week. I have to say, I went to South Korea once. I was on my way to Malaysia to visit my daughter, who was a Fulbright in Malaysia. And it is the most terrific airport I've ever been in my entire life. I would have liked to see the country next, and I will go back, but it was spectacular. So congratulations, and thank you for your past service.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jubenville.
Always a pleasure to see you. Feel like I know you like as a close personal friend, because since you've been on the district court and when you sit in West Roxbury so much, a week doesn't go by that my daughter doesn't tell me a story about you. And I mean that. We talk every day. She always tells me what happened that day in court. It's always about kindness and compassion, and how you go out of your way to try to protect and help citizens of the Commonwealth that are down on their luck and that suffer from drug addictions and mental health issues. So I'm not just saying that to you. She constantly tells me how great you are in there. So my pleasure to vote for you next week. I think, like everybody here said, you're going to make a wonderful judge. And I expect that there'll be another stop at the Governor's Council before it's over.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the time you afforded me. It was just great. It was great. Everybody loves you at the diner. But, you know, I do want to mention that Councilor Iannella and Councilor Jubenville heard your presentation last time. And I want you people to know she stood just like that, without a note, and unbelievable. And you made me cry today. So, you know, there are exceptions to the rules. I don't believe in absolute. And for your age, you have done more working for people than some lawyers who have practiced 30 years. And it's an amazing. You are truly the American dream. Now, the cases that you've had are heart-wrenching. God bless you. I don't know how you do it. Infant deaths, child abuse, murders, all of it. Is there one that comes to mind that is something that you'll always remember, that's most memorable to you, a case that you've had in that criminal line?
Thank you, Counselor. It's probably one of the most recent homicides that I have prosecuted before taking the bench. It was a case that I actually took on a month before the trial. And it's unusual to take on a homicide case before a month and only have a month to prepare. The prosecutor who had been handling the case for years actually had a scheduling issue, so I had to take it on a month before. And the families were not happy because of a new attorney, but also they had thought that I was going to be the victim witness advocate or the interpreter when I was first introduced. They did not think that I looked the part of a homicide prosecutor, so I had to have a meeting with them to ask them for their trust. That case for me is most memorable because it was a 4-year-old who was taken by their father to a barbershop on a regular summer day. And it was a happen chance that the father met with someone who he did not get along with. And at that barbershop, shortly, a few feet away from the 4-year-old who was getting the haircut, got shot and murdered. And there was a videotape of not actually the shooting. We never get lucky like that. But it was actually, you can see in the barbershop the child running around. And it's something I can never remember, never forget. And it was a difficult case, but what I remember more is the joy and the thankfulness of the families. But also I remember cleaning up the file, and as I was done and cleaning up the file, and I remember the victim's phone was part of the evidence to see whether or not he was speaking to the defendant prior. So the phone was evidence, and it could not be given back to the family. And the family wanted the phone back because it's something they could hold on to. And the 4-year-old son, I don't know whether or not he's going to be able to remember his father. So what I remember most and what I'm proud of the most is not the guilty verdict. It's spending hours, hours printing out things on the phone. Pictures of the children, bath time, him looking up Gap Kids getting clothes, him looking up Franklin Park Zoo to take the kids. These were all things that were important to me, and I remember printing it out and giving to the child and writing a letter to the child. And that, for me, is the most memorable, and I'm thankful for the family to entrust their faith in me. But that's one of the most memorable cases that I do have, among many. But
I admire you so much, especially through this pandemic. You've been in court every day. So many are home, but you want to be there so they don't have to give you emails and all of that you're working there. Domestic violence, there's so much going on in the society. And, I've mentioned this, that I have been concerned through the pandemic about the 209As, restraining orders. I have even heard in some courts that they even are on the phone. Never mind Zoom, they're on the phone. And I just can't understand how they can see body language to really identify whether this person is being truthful or not. And I'm just wondering, how do you determine if someone's being truthful or if they've just fabricated that, that happened?
I think it comes with experience. Having done hundreds and hundreds of restraining orders. Yesterday I was in Dorchester and I think I did about 20. So that gives you a sense of how many I do every day. You ask certain questions, and I think in my experience as a prosecutor, people telling you that they've been victimized, we all know that that's not necessarily 100% true. Not everything that everyone alleges is true. And for me as a prosecutor, I've learned early on to know and to ask the right questions and to really assess credibility. And that comes with experience. And I think that a lot of judges at this point, via Zoom or phone, have so much experience doing restraining orders that we know what kinds of questions to ask, what certain circumstances that they are trying to get the restraining orders that you should be mindful of. If there's a probate order behind and they're fighting over children, is it reasons to get restraining orders that way? I think there's many circumstances that you can gather from the experience.
I do want to mention that I'm first generation American. My mother and father, both Italian immigrants. My mother came at 6 years old from Avellino, and my father came from Sicily when he was 12 years old. And I'm just thinking of your family coming to America, and I'm sure they experienced the same prejudice, the same discrimination that my parents felt. My father had to change his name. They wouldn't allow an Italian to work in Watertown. The things that they went through. But you know something? And I know your parents, you can say it and I can say it, they were the most patriotic, proud Americans, that they adopted this country, and this was their country. They never went back to visit. This was their country. So you truly are the American dream. But this is not a political appointment. And I've been here 21 years, and it saddens me when I see someone political jump the line. You've earned it the old-fashioned way. You have the experience, the qualifications, the compassion, the empathy, everything, life experience. And the cases that you've had, I can't even imagine, getting up in the morning and going to court and facing it. You've seen so many child abuse, infant deaths. It has to be heartbreaking for you to go through that, and you have to try to be objective and go home to your family. And tell me about that. Some of their cases have been really horrific.
And as you can tell from my speech, I can be an emotional person, but I assure you that I don't do this in court. I'm not like this as a lawyer, nor am I like this as on the bench. But sometimes when
You showed your compassion, your empathy, and that's what we love. That's what we love.
It goes to the heart. There has to be something else that you're doing, and you have to learn to compartmentalize. Because if you dwell on that case, that's a sad case, you can be there forever. And I am known, my husband knows, to be not sleeping in the middle of the night, just twisting and turning. But I think having children, being busy, being demanded many times by 3 children help me to be able to take on these emotional cases.
And I think you can identify with these people. And one of the things that I talked to you about, I said, do you ever follow up on any of these cases that you've had? And you really touched my heart. You can tell us about the 22-year-old girl who was raped by her stepfather from the time she was 15, and how you still see her and you're still trying to help her. So tell us that story.
Yes, that's one of my proudest cases. I keep in touch with her. We talk, and she actually spoke here 2 years ago on my behalf. So I'm very proud that she is here in my life, and that's one of my proudest moments.
That's wonderful, and that's not something that she will ever get over. And to have you as a mentor, what a wonderful thing. So, we, every day we're reading about infant deaths, and they're being buried and they're being hidden, and the mother's, responsible, and I guess the boyfriend's more important than the child. I don't know what's happening. Mother's definition of mother certainly has changed. How hard is it to determine when an infant has been murdered? I'll tell you, and I think that the shaken baby is the hardest thing to determine. Would you agree?
Yes.
I have a friend, and they had a neighbor taking care of their 18-month little girl. And we know she did it. She said she was shaking her and she hit the cabinet or whatever, but they could never prove it. They said she did everything that she could. She called 911, got her to the hospital, she died. But I think of that all the time, and I think, how do you prove that? How do you prove that they did it? And they do it all the time. I just read, and I cried. Yesterday I read about this one-year-old guy. He killed his girlfriend's one-year-old child because she put her shoes on the wrong feet. I mean, you know, this whole society is scary to me. And you see that all the time. A lot of mental issues, we've talked about that. What do you do as a judge to address mental issues of people?
Having spent time on BMC now, there are specialty courts, which Judge Weingarten actually is head of, and actually had to leave early, I think, to come here. I learned invaluable lessons from my colleagues about the vast complexity of mental health issues that is coincided with crime, substance abuse, but also mental health as well. And I think the courts, we are doing our best and doing whatever resources that we have to be able to help defendants who are caught in the system with mental health issues so that they never come back. And most importantly, hopefully, that they never go to Superior Court. So I guess I've been in a place for a couple of years where we were trying everything and doing everything for the defendants with the help of the prosecutor so that they never go to Superior Court. And it is ironic in a sense that I am going to Superior Court and will be seeing these defendants who never just was able to stay in district court. But I hope and I do believe that my time at BMC and dealing with creative ways and dealing with mental health defendants, that I will be able to be an asset to Superior Court.
And the thing that I love about you is how much and how many years you've devoted to indigent people. That, you know, maybe they have mental problems, they don't have the money, and you've been there to get them through. And that's, again, compassion and empathy. I think, you know, as I said, your experience in seeing all these things and going to Superior Court is where you should be going. And I hate to even say it, but we don't have people, a lot of them that are going to court that are really qualified. We had someone, and he's in the court, Salem, in the Superior Court, Salem, and he had 6 cases in 21 years in the Superior Court. Never had a criminal case, knows nothing about them, and he went right to the Superior Court. You have worked in all of these courts, and now you're elevated to the Superior Court where you belong. And the thing that bothers me when we appoint these political people, that I have said over and over again, my own personal philosophy, if an attorney going to be a judge has not had criminal cases, I worry about that because they will not have the ability, they'll be timid to give the correct sentence to someone who deserves more. And that's what I'm afraid of with these people that are not qualified. And I can't be, I don't have a poker face. When I saw your name, I've been smiling ever since. I can't be, you know, I've met you before and, you know, and it was great meeting you again to all those hours. And it's so deserving. You are so deserving. You know, I could go through all your cases. They're horrific. They would make me cry, and you've done it. And you have a heart. It's beautiful. I do want to ask you what your opinion is of maximum sentencing.
Minimum mandatory sentencing, it doesn't exist much in district court level. It's the only times I see it is carrying a firearm, where the minimum mandatory is 18 months. In Superior Court, there are more. This is where our hands are tied as judges. And as a judge, I know the legislature and I will follow, sometimes unwillingly, unhappily, but I hope that if there is a minimum mandatory sentence, that before it's sentenced, before the trial or before a plea, if I believe that it's not actually should be the 10-year minimum.
Do you have the discretion?
Discretion.
Yeah, the discretion.
But I hope that before I sentence or before it goes to trial, that I will be able to encourage the attorneys to keep talking so that there could be a breakdown or that there could be some type of decision between both parties that may be happy, that no one goes happy, of course, if it's a just decision, but
Is it reduced to now 2 years?
to which
That's,
certain minimum mandatory sentences differ depending on the crime. If I have to sentence, I will do so. I'm not, I understand that my hands are tied and I understand my obligations to the courts. But I hope that if it's something that's not as deserving, and if we believe, I believe so, I hope that the attorneys will talk so that there will be a breakdown.
I mean, it takes
I've
away.
seen a lot of
It
that.
takes away all discretion, but you know, the reason, I only know of one personally through the Patrick administration, and we had a pardon. Don't have any pardons now, you can beg, plead, we don't have any pardons, which is wrong. And we only had, I think, 4 in Patrick's administration, but we had this man, and I will think of him for the rest of my life. And he was probably 57, 58 years old. And when he was 17 years old, he was on his way to school. And a 21-year-old friend, older friend, stopped him along the way and said, would you do me a favor and sell these bags of marijuana for $25? We gave him 4 bags. Naive, gullible, good kid. He was, you know, they were proud of him at home. He was a good student, everything. He made a foolish mistake. He took the bags, he went into the school, and he sold one. And when he tried to sell it to the next student, the student went to the principal and told. They found the other bags in his locker. And I think in those days when it first started, I think it was 4 years. Now, he went away for 4 years, gave up his youth, dates, prom, sports, maybe a chance for a scholarship to go to college, no college. And when he came out, he married, had children, and he was a wonderful person in the community. He was a coach. He did so many things. And gone through a lot of health problems, had cancer, lost a leg. The only bright light about it was that he did get a job in a private school as a custodian, but it closed. And so I'm thinking, yeah, we gave him a pardon, but where do you go at 58 years old, even without that burden? And, you know, I always think of him, that his whole life was ruined by one silly mistake. And I just have to think that if there was a compassionate judge and we didn't have that sentencing, that maybe they could give him community service, probation, whatever, but we'll never know. And so I'm thinking, how many others out there that have never been able to fulfill their life's ambition because of that, you know? So I was hoping that, you know, that it would change, but I guess it hasn't, you know? I think one judge questioned it, and I don't know whatever happened or whether she got disciplined for that. But anyway, but I was very impressed by your question about characterizing your own views about discretion, how it should be exercised. And you said, discretion in sentencing should be dependent on the facts of the case, defendant's record or lack thereof, reviewed cautiously by the judge, defendant's own background, victim impact statement, and public safety. A judge must be aware at all times of how sentencing decisions affect the defendants while upholding the responsibility of protecting the public. You said it all. That really is perfect. And, you know, I could go into all of your cases. You've seen it all. You've got a lot of criminal cases, which we have to have your experience, and civil cases too. So I can't be more proud that I'm presiding again, and I'll be asking the council to vote again. And I'm sure they will. It was unanimous last time, and I'm really proud of you, what you've done. And I love the people that you brought, and you brought the best. So I wish you all good luck on the Superior Court. So next week at the Assembly, Lieutenant Governor comes in and chairs, and she will bring up your name, and she'll call on me, and I'll make the motion, and we'll all vote. So I'm so pleased, and I'm so happy that your family could share this special day, because it is a special day. And I don't want you to hear about it. I want you to be here. And this is something that your children will always remember. And I know from meeting with you how proud you are of your husband and your children. So, it's like meeting with an old friend, seeing you again at the diner. So I'm going to adjourn now, and I thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.
Good job.